Hey friends, welcome back to another video. The schedule has been everywhere, but I'm trying, y'all. I'm really trying to get the content out. As you see, we've been working with a lot going on over here. This is the aftermath of what happened that I explained to you guys that happened in our bedroom with the water. After ruling out having water foundation people come out, the HVAC people come out, plumbing people come out, and we got a new roof. After all of that, our bedroom, I'm pretty sure, determined the water factor was from the portable air conditioning unit. A lot of you chimed in and said you had a similar issue with those kind of units. These are supposed to be non-dumping, but however, I guess the situation just arose perfectly for the incident, which was it was placed behind our bed and we had carpet there. And for whatever reason, the condensation got into the carpet, which created like mold growth on the carpet and on the bottom of our bed. And half of our room, it was only on half, which was the side with our bed, but on that half is where the carpet was soaked and the carpet pad was soaked through. The carpet was soaked. The floor tiles down there were wet and loose. And it was just a hot mess. So after all of that, it took like a month to figure everything out. We waited for the rain. We put extra water coming down from downspouts from our roof. And we ruled out that it wasn't anything. So we determined that it had to have been the air conditioning unit. So we placed it in there. We ran it for a while on its own. And it was sweating and getting droplets onto the floor. So even though it wasn't dumping, it was getting droplets. And so I think the circumstances were just perfect for accumulation. And that's what caused the issue. So with all that being said, we decided since the carpet was ruined that we would just go ahead and take the carpet up. Being in this home for the last year and a half, it was really sad because this carpet was brand new, but with pets and just our lifestyle and just me not maintaining carpet well, we just decided it was just best to go ahead and take this carpet out. So we decided since we had to take it up out of our room right there, we would just take it out of this whole level. So it was this family room, our bedroom, and the laundry room that we're going to be doing the same flooring in. It worked out because we also needed to put new flooring in the laundry room in general. And like a couple of you had said, well, I think one of you said it, is that we should just go ahead and get rid of these old tiles under here because they could be a health hazard. So we end up going ahead and getting rid of all this out of here. This took probably like a week to get all of this done with, taking stuff up, moving things, work. And then also, we had to clean up the floor and we had to let everything dry. So this took a little while. I was really sad to see this carpet go because it's really cozy down here, but just the smell with the dogs, it just wasn't realistic. And I just can't keep people from having their shoes on when they're walking around the house. So I just prefer to have the ease of just being able to mop everything. I also really like it because carpet, in my opinion, does it does collect a lot of allergens, and that's difficult specifically in this house because we don't have an air duct system. So one thing I do is I move my air purifier around the house. I am looking to get another one. They are pretty good because they can usually cover between 1 and 2,000 square foot in like 2 hours. So if you move it around, like it does a good job at cleaning the air in your home. Which is great for me because I need extra air movement because like I said, we don't have an air duct system, and your air duct system also filters the air in your home, which is how you change your air filter. So throughout our house and having dogs, all the dust, allergens from the air and from, Vox from different products that we're using and stuff, everything's just kind of landing in this carpet, and it was extremely, extremely smelly. I'm not going to hold you. Every time you walk down here, it was like a strong whiff. And the very first time I cleaned this carpet to get the spots off, I felt like, oh, I'm going to be able to maintain this carpet. It's great. But no, here we go. Over time, the dog's throwing up on it. It was just gross. Like choking things up on it, kids spilling things, and I just couldn't take it anymore. Like carpet is just not for us. When we got to this house, the main thing that we decided to keep a lot of the furniture. As many of you know, if you've been here for any amount of time, a lot of our furniture, apart from like our beds and stuff, the furniture was here in the home. So we did make over the dining room, and we put a new set in there that we picked out and purchased from a Facebook Marketplace seller. And everything in this floor, like the furniture, the bookshelves, this stuff was all left behind in this house when we purchased it. So we were kind of getting excited as we were doing this, because we were like, maybe we should just redo things. We took out all the old tile and the tack strips and stuff like that, and we repaired this hole in the wall. This hole in the wall actually got here because when we decided to do the air conditioner, our old bed was so heavy, and James went behind it thinking he could push the wall to push the bed with his body, and his feet went through the wall. So that's how this ended up being here, and we just left it behind our bed for the last few months, and we weren't even going to bother with it. In the end, we did end up sealing it up so there was no drafts or anything. It worked out great actually having that there, because when we had the foundation company out, they were able to kind of look in there and see that they don't think that there was any water coming from along this thing. So that was helping to rule out, where the water was coming from as well. Couldn't have happened in a more crappier spot considering the electrical outlet was right there, but we ended up filling all that in and closing it up. I didn't end up painting this wall behind there. Although on this level, we didn't paint the walls. We painted our whole bedroom when we moved in here. And I was going to do it, but really just the way that the timing aligned with our life and what we had going on, we wanted to get our bed put up. So we literally patched this hole and we moved on. We went into putting our bed up. So in the future, if I want to paint behind it, I will, but like you literally never see it. So I didn't end up painting over the mudding. While we were down here, James had got in some recessed canvas lights we were going to put in the upstairs. And I mentioned to him that I feel like we should put them in this room as well, just because in older homes, this one was built in 1964, I think, 65. In these older style homes, there's no like above overhead ceiling lighting in the living areas for whatever reason. So a lot of the ambiance and a lot of the vibe was created with standalone lamps. And so I really wanted some overhead lighting. Those of you that don't know, I do struggle with low vision issues. So dim lighting is not my best friend. And that makes it difficult while cleaning and stuff like that, and just getting around in general. So I really wanted some overhead lighting. It makes it so much simpler and easier to turn everything off and on as well, because our Alexas are always going out. So even though they were set up to control our light bulbs, anytime the power goes out or there's a breaker thing or something like that, it's difficult. We have to set it all back up, so it can be a pain. So he wanted to go ahead and install the overhead lighting, and I was all for it. One thing we did though, we was walking around here mapping out where we were going to put them, how many did we think we needed. So my plan was to go off the center of where the focus lights were already installed at the fireplace to use as our middle point, but we did measure the middle of the room. And then once we found the measurement from the middle of the room, we went back through and went from middle to side all around the room to make sure that everything was meeting up in an even point in the room. And then basically from there, we divided it up because we were going to use 4 lights. So we basically split the room into like 3 sections. I don't really know. James isn't here to really explain how we got to the measurements, but really it's pretty straightforward. If you map out the space of your room and find your midpoint, then you can decide, how many you need. The basis for deciding on your measurements is you need 1 recessed lighting for every 4 to 6 feet of room space that you have. So you can kind of determine, based on your preference and your space, how many you think you need. We went ahead and went with 4 in this space here, and I think this is around maybe 300 to 400 square foot in this room here, I believe it is. So we went with 4 for this space here, and I was being helpful, but not also very helpful because my depth perception is a little weird. So when I was holding the tape measure trying to stay into place, that was pretty weird, trying to look up above my head. I hate above the head work. That is difficult for me because it does trip me up because of my vision, but I got it done nonetheless. But he did have to check a couple of my things because I'm like, oh, this is straight, and no, it wasn't straight. But I still went ahead and helped, and we got it done, so that's cool. I love them. They look amazing too. Can't wait for you to see them. I will say though, it was a little bit weird. I was really worried because after everything that just happened here, with needing to get a roof, and then some branches on the trees are falling down, we had water in our room. I was like, a fire is the last thing that we literally need, but it feels like something bad that can happen on the list. And I was just like, please don't. So I'm like, okay, we're doing electrical, please do this right. And like my husband, he works with a power company, so he literally has to work on power lines all the time for the city. And it's hilarious because they're at a much larger scale than a home, but it's still difficult because he's not an electrician. So I was like, okay, is this going to be okay? You're running all this random wire and all this different stuff. We ended up having to cut holes in the wall because there's not an attic above this room. So we had to cut holes in the wall to run the wire through, and it wasn't working. So we went and got what is it called? It's some kind of like little fish hook thing for wire. I can't think of the name of it right now, but we got that to help us pull the wire through the walls, and that helped a lot. Overall, it didn't take too long. It took only a day to install all this wire in this room, which was really great. And then it only took a day to install the wiring and lights in the up above room too, which was really great. But it does create a lot of mess, especially when you have to do the holes and you're losing insulation out of your attic and stuff. So, although the process was relatively simple, if you kind of a little bit know what you're doing, if you do it yourself, I think it's okay. Definitely having somebody to reference, call, and like Google is helpful as well. But the other parts are what's annoying. So we had to patch the holes in the wall, and then we had to go get more drywall tape, and we got to clean up the insulation and all that. But here are the lights, and they're relatively simple to use. They just have these little clips. They can pop right in. You don't have to actually install the canning and stuff. They just kind of hold into place when you cut. And what's really cool is like it comes with a guide, and James went and bought this little circle thing, which you'll see in a minute. It attaches to your drill, and you can set the measurement, and it will literally just cut out the perfect hole, and it has a little bowl over it so that while you're drilling, it's catching the majority of the dust in drywall, and then it's also catching like the circle that you're drilling out, which helps. But it was just a hot mess down here. We ended up taking this switch out, and this switch gave us a problem once we got in there. It should have been simple enough, but we had to literally pry it out. We had to make a bigger hole than we wanted to. Here's a little mechanism right here, and it made cutting the holes so effortless. So if you wanted to try this, please get this for yourself, because it's going to save you so much hassle and time and measuring and all that kind of crap. So this is just a really great tool to have if you're going to want to do something like recessed can lighting or recessed lighting. Now, we did make a mistake in the upstairs when we used this. It was on the wrong setting when we started, so we have to patch another hole. But overall, if you just take your time, it's a really handy tool, and it's going to get things going for you, moving right along, and look as professional and seamless as possible while going the DIY route. It was so funny when I was thinking about how I'm going to film this, because I couldn't make this like a very well planned out video, because I was just trying to film things as we were doing them. And there were times when James was doing some things and I was at work and not filming. And there was times where I was in the middle of having to basically do other things that day, and I tried to get a couple things done. So things were definitely just kind of jumping and moving along, and that's just kind of how it was. And as I was doing this, we had to take a break on the day because my sister was having her wedding, so we had to get ready, get the kids ready, and go to the wedding. And then we came home after, so we could get this done and get our bed put up. But I still had my boots on from my dress and stuff, and that was so funny. But here's how it looked before, and then here's the after. It's so bright. I love it. It's very open, inviting, and it definitely added a lot of value, I think, to the home, and I absolutely love it. It works out really great. These could have been dimmed. They are a dimmable option, but we didn't buy the dimmable switch just because it was more money and we weren't really that concerned with it. We had another switch on hand, so we just used that one and went with the on and off option. It was funny when we were doing this, because I was like thinking about filming it, like I said, and I was like, it just feels like nostalgia. Like, when you go to the bank and they show you the ads for like getting a loan and stuff, and it's always people who are like having a baby, shows them working on their house, or, doing a very big life milestone like a wedding or college or something. And that's warranted, you know what I mean? But through like a lot of TLC and stuff, we kind of take out the whole nostalgia of working on our home. And it's like when you're dirty and you got random shoes on and dirty socks, and you're having wine and beers with your partner while you guys are working and building something together. And like, not just social media, but just for entertainment purposes on the outside looking in, can really take the whole realistic factor out of like what it really is to work on your home. The realistic time frame that you're working off of when you're working around, you know, stopping to make dinner, feeding your kids, running back and forth to the store. Things are getting messy. You have to clean up a buttload of messes in between while you're working on your home. And then, you know, other life things are happening while you're doing this too. Sometimes you run out of money and you have to wait, or, you know, you have to get a loan or something, and just all these different factors. But while we were doing this, I was just thinking of like old time photo, you know, just seeing like a girl or like a dad working on something, and like they're messy and dirty, and, you know, there might be a beverage involved, right? Like a beer or something, or someone's having wine while they're painting. And it was just really that nostalgia. I'm like, we're really working on our home. And we had no intention of like really updating this level at all, which is kind of funny how it happened, because I obviously really wanted to, but we weren't really able to make this level anything of our own just because we went with what we had. So just going ahead and going for it was actually really fun. We did patch these holes, not with patches, but we just kind of put the old squares back up and taped them instead of like, you know, we didn't have nothing to screw into, and we just kind of used light drywall. Since it was the ceiling, I felt it wouldn't really matter because it's not like it's really going to get pushed at all. But we're still working on painting those. I'm going to put a little paint over those when I get the chance. We do have the floor in at this point, and I still need to paint, so I'll be very careful, but it's just a couple spots, you know, like all the little random drywall spots that we patched. I also went through on this day and cleaned up the walls, because as James was taking up old floor, there was like splashes of like, you know, dirt and stuff getting up on the wall. So I went through with the old rag and I got all that up off the floor. I also went through after this, which I don't remember if I filmed it in here or not, but I did dust over the walls too, just because of all the drywall dust. And then moving right along into the living room, which was on another day, he did end up doing the canvas lighting in here. I was working this day as well, so I didn't get to film most of it, but I was in and out through this, and I got this mess cleaned up for starters. But it was just so much mess, and the furniture still needs to be vacuumed. This room is literally still a mess, but after we did this portion, we went back downstairs to keep working because the floor was done getting put in, and now we're to the point where we need to like bring up furniture and decide what we're going to do. We are going to be getting rid of some more furniture and seeing what to do. We want to update the gym a little bit. But yeah, this is just kind of where we are, and I just wanted to pop in and let you know what we're working on and show you all the updates. I'm not really like finished. I wasn't able to film this as really like transformation type of video, like before and after, just because there was so much life happening in between. Like it wasn't my only thing that I had to do. So I hope you still enjoyed watching it, and I hope you enjoy seeing the updates. Definitely excited to film new videos in this space with the new lighting. It does make it so much easier to film with the lighting, having the overhead lighting up above, and then also having the new brighter lights up in the hall. It's definitely making a difference. I'm really excited that fall is the longest season that we have, because it's giving me extra time to be able to decorate. I'm hoping at some point soon I will be able to decorate. I also have the girl's birthday party this month to worry about. I have to plan out quickly and throw, and it just looks like I'm not even going to get to it until October at this point, but that's fine because I'm so grateful that we're able to still be doing this. And you know, there's just other business we have to take care of right now. The house is just such a wreck that it would not be nice to work around all that decor and all of that as well. So we're just kind of taking it day by day. This is just a clip of him putting this in a little bit while I was here. We did run into an issue. I was running the kids around though, so I didn't get to film it, but some of the lights weren't necessarily working, and then he kind of hooked the box up wrong, so he got on call with his grandpa real quick, and they kind of figured it out on the phone as to what the problem was, switching a few things around. So we went from I think 2 switches here to now 4. We do need to update the outdoor light just because it irritates me when I walk out. It doesn't always come on right away, which is connected to this, but it turned out well. Super grateful to have such a handy husband, because that saves us a ton of money on him being able to do a lot of things himself, and then, you know, just me being the cheerleader on the side. And I'm like, I'll clean up the mess after. Well, I hope you enjoyed coming along seeing the updates so far, and I will keep you posted as things continue to roll out. I do have a lot filmed that I just need to edit. So as always, thanks so much for watching. Please give this a thumbs up and subscribe so you don't miss the next one. All right, I'll talk to you later. Bye.